Right. Absolutely fabulous. Fabulous to be here. Denise again. And we have um an amazing young man with us. I can say young because I'm old enough to be his uncle. But we have an amazing young man, Sope. Sope is going to be with us for our live today. And for those who have not been here for any of our previous lives, what we realized as a team, as an executive, myself, Denise, and Rashida, was that what we wanted to do was not only just tell people about um, our vision for Black founders, but talk about the experiences of people who have been through the process and now are adding value to the process as well. Come on. And so today we're going to have a delightful myself and Denise will have a delightful conversation with Sope Agbelusi about his journey, and yeah, we're going to dig deep into some stuff. Is that okay, Denise? Is that okay?
That sounds perfect. Is that okay, Sope?
Dig deep. Like, what's going on here? Like, on a Monday morning, you know, like.
That's the bit we didn't tell you why we invited you. We didn't tell you about that, man.
That's how we always do. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Well,
And
it's good to be there, isn't it?
say again.
Monday morning. Good to be here together.
Yeah, always.
In a month.
No, fabulous. And we have our amazing Sarah in the background making sure that the tickers go and the little content that come across, because Sarah don't play and she'll be out there doing her wizardry in the background. Rashida can't make it today, unfortunately. The newest member of Black Founders Hub, who is all of 8 weeks, 9 weeks old, is a little bit unsettled. But I'm sure somewhere in the ether she will be joining and cheering us on as well. I love doing this, but I am not going to pretend that I have any chops on the best presenter in our team, who is Denise. Okay, I'm just gonna stay in my lane, right? You know, when you kind of like get in a car and you're at a set of traffic lights, right, and you pull up and you think you're all good, right, because you got the Kia latest electric car, and you're like, boom, everything nice, and then this Bentley convertible pulls up beside you, right? And you start to press the accelerator, but you know the Bentley is the one who's going to drive and leave you. So let me hand you over to the Bentley while I take
how he goes. You see what he does. Like, bigged you up now.
Line you up like that. Like, there you go, you know.
Over to you. No, thank you. What a delight for my Monday morning. Do you know it's the start of the Easter holidays for my family? So my son's off for 3.5 weeks. What?
Oh.
Yeah. But he's gone off on a play date today. So he's just disappeared with daddy. And I am delighted to be here to kick this off. So as a reminder, I hope we're welcoming back some of you who love a bit of the energy from Black Founders Hub to start your week off. But for those of you who are finding us for the first time or want a reminder, we're just going to remind you who we are, what we do. So we are the peer-to-peer network for Black professional services founders. Bit of a mouthful. But really what we're about is, yeah, I'm a lawyer, David's a coach, Sope's a coach. There's a whole wealth of us from the professional services industry who have so much experience and so much time we've spent in corporates, and then who've taken that next step and set up our own businesses and founded them, which is amazing. But our network is about bringing us together, creating some strength so that we can move beyond the statistics that say that Black founded businesses often don't make it out of the 5-figure turnovers and into the 6 figures and then the 7 figures, to create legacy, to create wealth, and to create holistic wealth. So we're looking at, yes, the numbers, 7 figures, but we're also looking at our personal lives, our friendships, our community, and really strengthening everything. So that's what we are. We'll tell you more about how it all works as we go along. But as David teed up, what we really want to do with these sessions today is, as well as giving you a flavour of why we started, what you'll get out of it is tell you about what the experience is like on the other side. Hence, the beautiful Mr. Handsome Sope joining us today. Now, he stepped up, and you were part of, you know, we launched this last year. So the beginning, this time last year, we just got started. And Sope, you know, you were one of those early adopters who were like, yeah, I'm in. So I would love to know, like, if you could take us back to that point where you were with your business, with your career, and what made you think, do you know what, that sounds like just what I need?
I think for me it was the opportunity to be in a community of people who I knew were going to challenge me. From everything I understood, I don't think there was a business like mine in that cohort. But actually, I also appreciated that because I knew I was going to get different perspectives. And having someone who's not close to what you do, but to be able to challenge you, ask you questions, call you out on certain things, was a unique experience that I thought for me would be crazy for me not to take advantage of. But I guess it was also a lot of times in a lot of spaces that I've definitely operated in, I'm just used to being the one and only or one of two. So for me, this is an opportunity to actually be in a community of people who are from my background, who there's certain things we don't even need to talk about. It's just there. You already know, and you can just lean straight into it. So, and we always talk about collaborating and about the community a lot. And it's like, well, I like to back up my talk. So this is an opportunity to get involved with a business community of people. Why not do it and see what it's like?
Yeah. So tell us about your business.
So my business is a leadership development company. One arm of it is around coaching, so coaching senior leaders in organizations and startups. Other side of it is linked into, I guess, creating people over profit cultures. And all that's foundational upon equity, inclusion, psychological safety. And that really is what drives me. For me, that's very much purpose aligned. So I balance polarity between leading self, which is the coaching, and leading others, which is the culture change piece that I get involved with. And part of the organization also does public speaking. There's a podcast that's tied into the organization as well. So there's the main kind of facets that I play around with in mindset shift.
Yeah, and you do a lot of work. I love the way you rattled through that. That's quite, I mean, that's some big chunky projects that you do. You're working with some big corporates. And as you say, like over the years, I speak for myself as well. We get used to being the only ones in the room.
Mm-hmm.
We get used to like stating the position or having to be the voice of a different experience and to voice that and vocalize that. How has it been spending your time once a month in a room with 10 other people from similar positions, also raising their game and doing big work?
It's been very enjoyable. It has been challenging sometimes.
You said that a couple times. I want to hear about the challenging.
It's been challenging this time because I don't like being called out. You know, I don't like being called out. However, the challenge wasn't a negative challenge. It was more people who actually genuinely cared. And they wanted to see you raise your game and elevate yourselves. And it actually allowed me to be able to have a mirror raised up to me about certain things. I mean, it's very easy as a coach to be able to have these kind of conversations with other people, but you don't necessarily always have that space created for you to do that. And what I had in this space was that, what people were asking me certain questions and be like, but you say this and you do this, and how does that apply back to you? So being able to flip that back to me was really, really good. And I think one thing I also mention is, and you're just touching it right now, Denise, is a lot of time we're so used to fitting into spaces. But in this particular environment, I didn't fit in, I belonged. And that for me allowed and gave such a next level of being able to actually open up. I mean, we got real, we got vulnerable, not just from the from the professional side of things, but the personal side of things. And having that wholeness intertwine, overlapping each other for me made it feel a lot more wholesome. It just felt like, right, there's a space once a month I'm coming into, I'm just gonna chill with my family, my community, and I don't have to front or hide. I can keep it real about anything and everything and trust that it will be validated, it will be appreciated, it will be looked after, it wouldn't be rejected and not back in any way, shape or form. And that for me just felt really good.
Wow, I honor that. Thank you, Sope. That's actually quite a big statement. You know, it's not about fitting in, it's about belonging. And that really does echo my own feelings as well. I mean, we'll talk again. I'm sure David's got some viewpoints on this. I mean, one of the drivers for setting up Black Founders Hub is to kind of remove that experience where we're always the only ones and to have space where we truly belong, so that you've got the safe environment for challenging conversations, for growth. That you're not dealing with a whole layer. You're not hacking through the forest first and worried about what's going to jump out at you. before you can deal with things that you need to be able to deal with in order to elevate your business. And I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's often hard, I find, to articulate that. Like, that's what we're trying to bring. Yes, you can join networking groups. Yes, you can join mastermind groups, but to find a safe space where you as a business person can grow and not have to deal with all those other issues first, I think is something that's quite unique about what we're offering. And I think it's reflected in the growth that we've seen of the cohort members and the community. David, I know that you've always got challenging questions. And you've had a bit of time there to sit and marinate.
I was watching his nervous twitch when you said my name as soon as it came over. And there was one of the things that I really liked what you said about that belonging piece. Sope's cutting. Let me put it to you, right, straight up, right. Sope has got a sharp sense of humor, right. He is he's a brilliant coach. I'm putting that out there now. He's a really, really good coach. And even though I know I've been longer in the game than him, I've learned a hell of a lot from him as well in his approach. And one of the things that I was very impressed with was how, coming into that space, how free you were to be able to do that coaching and peer mentoring to your colleagues as well. And I guess the question that I asked is at any point in time, did you think, or did you have a just have a concern that maybe it might be, because you and I, we know we're very direct, right? So did you ever have a concern or a reservation that in this space it might be too direct, or did you just feel, I'm here and this is how I'm going to show up?
At the start, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. At the start, when I came in, my natural default state is just to observe, to see, let's see how deep we can really get. How much can we snatch people's edges and then I feel uncomfortable to the point where it's too much. And I guess what was quite good actually was between Denise, David, and Rashida, in those first two conversations, actually, you kind of led the way when you talked about yourselves, your journey in your business. And then the questions that people were able to ask you, you're all very transparent. And I think that really opened up that, because then when people were getting asked challenging questions, they weren't defensive. They were very much open to that. And from the time I saw that, I'm like, okay, cool. Psychological safety is there. People know that this is why we're doing one of the things, and you're modeling that behavior right from the jump anyway. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, let's push. And over the time, I kept on, like I said, I'll say my style is very disarming.
You think? You think?
I would say my style's very disarming. So I just took my time. There's certain times where I'm like, I'm not gonna lean in too much in that one. I just let it be. So it was, but I had the freedom and the space to do that as well. And there are times when it led to offline conversations. Was like, actually something's come up in here, and now it's in the right time, but we can actually delve into it. And people were open to do that as well outside of that, which was quite good.
Yeah.
I'm also curious, I guess, that especially in the time I know that you had joined the hub, there were a lot of really high profile blue chip clients that you started to work with. And I'm quite curious as to how you find that time to balance being there. And I know how difficult it would be, but finding that time to balance being there, but also knowing the value we're going to get out of it being in that space. I'm quite curious as to how you were able to do that.
For me, it's about intention. I'm prioritizing what's important to you, what's going to fill you up, and what's going to restore you. And I saw the space as that. So it was never, I need to go and do that again. It was like, actually, now I'm looking forward to it. And especially after, like you said, even working in some of the corporate spaces that we all navigate, the work can be draining sometimes. And you're pouring out consistently. But coming into BFH, I didn't necessarily feel like I was pouring out. I felt like I was being poured into. And that was just sometimes just even sitting back and just listening to people share. It just felt like you're in, I don't know, you're just like with people, just chilling, having a conversation and talking about different things. And that felt so restorative that every time I left, I was like, I felt good. I'm like, I'm ready to go again. And that's what it was. So that intention was set right from the start. And then I was constantly getting fed. And if you're getting good food, you're always going to come back. You know your good restaurants that you like. You come back to them time and time again. That's exactly how I saw it. Hey, Rashida.
Hello, sorry for my late appearance.
That's
One
all
of
right.
the joys of motherhood. But my
That's
lovely daughter, who is only 4 months old, is now settled. So I'm glad to be here with you all.
Okay, that's fine. The beauty quotient has been restored.
Good morning, darling. Yay. Oh, balance.
Balance has been restored. Shopee. You were messing up the game, man. Come on now.
We were jacking it up.
Well, what have I missed? Gosh, well, I just interrupted you, Sope. I'm sorry. Were you telling us more about you?
I was just answering answering David's question. So that was
okay.
I loved what
Great.
you were saying there, though, because Sope was just saying another great way of putting it. The meetings, because if you're thinking about joining us, we are now about to close the doors soon to cohort 3. So do make your application. You'll see it there. Join at blackfoundershub.com. Just click on it. It's a really straightforward form, and that gets you a conversation with either myself, David, or Rashida to talk about your business and how Black Founders Hub could be the next step. Well, is the next step for you if you're serious about wanting to grow and develop your baby, what you've built, in kind of the most the safest space, the most collaborative space, the most challenging space that you can find, I think, as a Black founder. So we were talking about that, but one of the things that comes with joining is the commitment, which is it's half a day of your time once a month to focus on your business, on yourself and your personal development. You commit to the rest of your cohort because we're all in this together, and you commit to the community because we're about creating legacy and something that's going to survive all of us. But that for some is challenging, just even the thought of, wow, it sounds good, but where am I going to find half a day? So to hear you say, Sope, that you found that time restorative, I think is such an important point. It's not time when you're like, oh no, I haven't done my homework. Oh no, I haven't studied enough. Oh no, this is a burden. This is like, no, here I come to have my cup filled because I'm going out into the world to do important work. And we truly believe, and we see it from the quality applications coming through, that the businesses we're running and that we're talking about are businesses that make an impact. No matter what it is you're doing, whether it's HR, marketing, legal, finance, property, when we look at each business, what it stands for, why it exists in the world, each one is always making an impact. It's pushing the boundaries a bit. It's being the first. It's showing a new way of delivering professional services to the same old people, but with fresh perspective, fresh eyes, fresh leadership. And that takes energy. That takes energy. That takes courage. That takes digging deep sometimes, because you're walking into rooms where not only you're going to deliver a service, but you're going to challenge the way it's been done. And you're going to ask some difficult questions. So to know once a month you get that space where, as you described it, it's restorative and your cup is filled, is, again, it's a really important nugget that you've just pulled out there about what we're providing. And if I'm honest, when we started it, I hadn't even thought of that as one of the benefits, like crystallized in that way. But I think that's been an experience that certainly for me, I cannot wait for the Black Founders Hub meetings every month. Just like, yep, fill my cup. What's good?
I love that. I'm sorry that I missed that, Sope, because it sounds so rich and insightful. And for me, I think that that discipline of taking the time away from the business and using it as an opportunity to work on yourself as the person who is leading the business is, quite frankly, the best use of your time for half a day once a month. If you're not doing it already, then the fact that joining Black Founders Hub forces you to means that you're going to grow. And I think that's something that I'd love, if you're watching this and you're thinking about that time commitment yourself, that I'd love you to take home, that actually this is your duty as a leader of the business. You're the one who's setting the goals. You're the one who's setting the parameters for where the business will be in 5 years, 10 years. And if you're not investing the time on that strategy, on making sure that you're thinking about how you're going to hit those goals and get out of the business to do it, then you're not going to hit them. So yeah, I'm all for the time commitment. Yes, it can feel like a lot, but without that, we're not going to reach a level of success that our business deserves, that we deserve, our community deserve, our family deserve. So the time commitment is actually one of the things that I really love about Black Founders Hub, because it forces you to become a better you, a better leader. Yeah, I love that.
I was just waving away a fly there.
No, it's right. Wave it away.
As soon as the sun comes out, those flies.
What? How do you wave away a fly? So polite.
It's very regal.
Wafting it away.
Okay, I want to ask a question. I've got loads of questions, but I just want to ask this one. What would you say was the biggest personal and professional takeaways you had as a result of being in the cohort you did? Biggest personal and the biggest professional that had an impact on you and the business.
I'm going to say the biggest personal and professional were actually both the same. Because I and that's just how I tend to look at things, is because you're in charge of your own business. So wherever you're learning and how you're growing from a personal perspective flows into your business. So there was a conversation we had a couple of months ago where it forced me to kind of take a step back and be like, I was playing small, and there were certain things that I was easily like I could pour into other people and do that, but I wasn't doing it for myself. And that realization kind of forced me to like literally just like, why are you doing this? Why are you not doing that? Why are you having these kind of conversations a particular way? Why are you not going after that client? And that for me was kind of like, if you're going to do this, stop playing with one hand tied behind your back and really go for it. And it was the conversation that came as a catalyst of the group setting that morning. And the funny thing is, I don't actually think it was directed at me. I think it was a conversation there was someone else that was going back and forth, but the question kind of stuck with me. And that's one of the things I liked about it, where you're in that kind of setting where even there are times when you might not be directly talking, but listening to other people share or go back and forth about certain things or reflect on certain things gets you to think. And that for me actually made a difference, because after that conversation, I remember when I had a next like pitch, I was going for something, I pitched very, very differently. And I increased my prices like drastically. And I was like, I remember just thinking, are you sure this is going to work? Like, what's going to happen? But I was like, I got nothing to lose. So just kind of go for it. And it worked. And since then, we've just been building and growing from them. So that self-awareness and that, I guess, that internal dialogue and those conversations and that realization for me, from a personal perspective, flowed into my business. And then it's now helped to keep on now generating and growing and increasing my revenue from that perspective. So that was one of the key things for me.
Last year's price. Last year's attitude. Not this year's attitude. I love what you said there though about and this is just to give people a bit of an insight without spilling too much. All the founders who get an opportunity to be there, they get a hot seat where you can actually interrogate something that's happening within the business. But then all the peers come in and they provide advice and guidance around what they would do, asking better questions to get to a result. And as you said, there are times when you can be in that space. And I will say it as well as a facilitator, that you'll say something and then somebody else will come out with an answer and you're like, oh, okay, that's going to affect me as well. Let me make sure nobody can see me writing notes. Okay, well, I'm doing that at the side. But that's the beauty, isn't it? It's not about necessarily anybody thinking that they're there, but rather we're all going on this journey together. And I love the fact that you said that the bit where, because that affects you personally, it flows right into how you show up in terms of your business. I got some more, but I'm gonna back off for a little bit. Let me just back off. Let me just back off and behave myself and leave Denise Rashida to come.
I'm going to hand over to Rashida because I know she really wanted to be here.
But David, your questions are fire. I love them. Keep bringing them. But let's see. There's so many things that I can ask you to try and to really glean your experience of Black Founders Hub and what you found really amazing about it. But I think, and I'm hoping this hasn't been asked before I join, the thing that I'm always really interested in is to hear from people what stood out to them about Black Founders Hub when they were looking. Or maybe you weren't looking and it was just something about Black Founders Hub that piqued your curiosity and made you think, well, I want to know more about that. I want to pick up the phone. I want to speak to Black Founders Hub and see if it'd be the right fit for me. I'd love to know that from you. What was it about Black Founders Hub? Because we had just started at that point, and I'm always really interested to hear what hits with founders.
So the initial curiosity came from a conversation I was having with David. He talked about setting this up and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, sounds interesting. And I started looking into a little bit more. And I was like, actually, one thing I've always said is I wanna be part of a community of people who look like me, who are growing their businesses, where we can come, we can learn, we can grow, we can evolve together. And that's what BFH kind of felt like to me right from the start, even before it started. And there was also an element for me where, again, because like David's doing this and it's great, I'm like, I also want to support my brother. So those two things kind of aligned. I'm like, why not? It's 12 months. If I step into it and I don't like it, I can step back. So I've got absolutely nothing to lose. And I think I'm always I feel like I have a very good feeling about certain things. And right from the start, I already had good feelings about this. I think I had a conversation with Denise right from the start as well. And we were just busting joke, like, and that was the first time I think we had a proper conversation, and we're just vibing, we're just talking. So I'm like, came off the phone, I was like, good peoples, I like it. I was like, all right. So it was just that. It was just the fact that when you're talking to someone, they already make you feel so welcome. So I'm like, I didn't feel like I was walking into anything where I was going to regret. But I also wanted to feed my curiosity and see for myself. And that's one thing I always say, that it's very easy to talk about what you want, and when it's presented to you, you don't step into it. So I've spoken about the fact I wanted a community like this, and it's been presented to me. So I was like, why not? Why not do it? I mean, a lot of times I had a conversation far too many times, like, oh yeah, but the US are doing this and they have this community and that community. There's nothing in the UK, nothing created. I'm like, okay, well, there's something in front of you. You're doing it. Yeah, but I don't have time. Like, so you're not serious. So I'm very much, when I see something that I think is going to align to me, that aligns to my values, that's going to help me grow and be better and do better, and is with my people, get involved.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for that answer. And the community, of course, that's something that I think is such an important part of it, but it's almost it's just a natural byproduct that we're bringing together people who, not just any type of business owner, as I'm sure you all know by now, there is a vetting process here, and it's not in a vetting process in a negative sense, but a very positive sense, to make sure that everyone who ends up on the program are people who are aligned. And that community is really powerful. I'm so proud of it too. So thank you for giving me space, David. That's my question.
Absolutely fine. As I said, I love we have our other members of BFH in the background, making sure that they can get their voice in too. Right? We are unapologetic. We don't quieten down. Right. There's no need to code switch. You're up in here, all right?
That's right. We want the youngsters speaking up from an early age.
We start them straight. So my my next question, Sope, before I hand back over, is going to be, let's deal with the elephant in the room, right? We're called Black Founders Hub. There is no denying what we are about because of the naming of our actual organization. And I'm quite curious as to how you explain this to others about this commercial network and commercial mastermind group. Because obviously, as a member, and we've got our ideas as executives, but I'm quite curious as to how you explain this, either within the community or without. Because I know some people would have an issue with it, and you know what I'm like when people come with those issues. But I'm quite curious as to how you position it or frame it, and any objections that people may have around that.
I don't believe in making your issues my issues. So it's a hub created for Black people. It's a community created for Black people and Black people only. So if you fit the criteria, you come in, you get involved, you enjoy, you grow, you develop, and if you don't, you don't. The other communities create for other people that are out there for you. So I don't waste my time with none of that, to be honest. So that's kind of how I explain it.
Love you, Sope. It's the way you deliver it. It's just the way. I don't know why.
This is why I asked him the question. I knew what my answer was going to be like. I just threw out the question out there.
Oh, you're freezing a bit, David.
I don't make other people's issues my issues.
There you go. So I have a question for you, Sope, about ambition. And where that sits for you. How do you feel? How did you feel about joining an organization where the goal is to help founders move their businesses to 6 figures and then 7-figure turnovers and create that level of legacy? How does that fit for you?
Oh, that for me, that's value aligned. I am all about personally growing my business to those kind of levels, to the 7-figure kind of level. That's something that's important to me. But then also flows back into the empowerment piece. We talk a lot about what empowerment means different things to different people. But for me, the empowerment piece involves both the financial side of things, which is why the 7 figures kind of makes sense. But for me, also involves the legacy piece, because I want to be able to create an establishment, an organization that can bring other people from the community into something like this as well. And then being able to then support other people along on their journey to do something similar. Those are all value aligned to what my organization kind of stands for, a lot of the work I do, because I want to see our people win. I want to see us not just like scrape it. No, we're smart people. We work hard. We've got stupid amount of PhDs and degrees in education and all that kind of stuff. And we spend so many years working hard and not getting reward for it. So actually, you know what? Let's start working smarter. And what we're going to do that is by collaborating together, by learning from each other, by investing in one another. And then when we can do that, we can start to elevate and start to change the conversation and change the narrative. So that's what BFH is all about. That's part of my values. So I'm definitely here for it.
So having immersed yourself, you know what's coming, right? Having immersed yourself in the goodness and the blexcellence, right? Put that word in your diary. Having immersed yourself in that excellence that is BFH, we are proud to know that you are working alongside and partnering us to be able to take it to the next level, to bring your secret sauce, your disarming coaching techniques and facilitations to a new generation of founders. I'm quite curious again as to what was the motivation behind that. And I know you've talked about the community, but what was that motivation around being able to do that facilitation piece for you?
It's about giving back. I think for me, that's very important. A lot of times you can be involved in something and it's great, but there are other ways to support. And if I can actually support with some of the experiences that I've had, work alongside someone who I consider a very good friend as well, who's going to be my co-facilitator. That for me was actually a great opportunity. But more importantly, there's also a learning piece to that. I mean, listening to other people on their journey share you always naturally learn. You pick things up. So even though we are facilitating and even though we are holding that space and everything else, you're going to be learning from other people as well. And you're going to be growing your network and your community. So there's so many different things that I gain from this, let alone the icing cake is I get to give back. Is I get to be able to help some people, I guess, navigate their journey and the path that they're taking. And just to keep it real, I think a lot of times there are certain elements of business that's not talked about enough, but we do that at BFH. We get into every single area because we're not trying to hide anything. And I think for me, that's really, really important. It's interesting. I think just yesterday we were having a conversation around how someone describing how a lot of Black businesses in particular have fallen off after COVID, and it linked into the pandemic, it linked into the after effects of Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I've had too many conversations with people where they don't understand basic cash flow, and instead they've looked at stuff on revenue. So it's like there's so many fundamental things that we know from the years we've spent in the corporate environment that we can bring into these kind of environments to help people to shine and excel. So why try and, like I said at the start, I was operating with my hand tied behind my back. Why carry on doing that? Might as well been able to actually help people release that string, give them their two hands so they can just shine and go forward. And that's why I see the facilitation as for me.
I had to put my hood on, right? Because I was like, he went hood. He went hood. How you going to be talking about Black Lives Matter when you don't understand cash flow?
Oh, cash flow. And that is how we do, people. If you're watching this is like a little sample of what it's like to be part of a Black Founders Hub Mastermind meeting. We go deep. We talk about numbers. We are transparent. We have a laugh. We have a joke. And we get serious as well. And the outcome is you move forward. You're moving forward with a whole crew. You've got a crew supporting you. And let me just tell you, the gold dust, Sope mentioned, his co-facilitator, the amazing Aggie, who, if you missed it, she was on our last live. So she's going to be, they are both, and we are so honored, going to be facilitating cohort 3. So I say it again, do not finish this call and not put your application in. It's a process that's worth doing just because it brings clarity to your own mind. The questions we ask just help you shape up, where is my business right now? What am I doing with it? Then you get to have a conversation with one of us to talk about that. And then if you join cohort 3, you are facilitated by the amazing Sope and Aggie. But within a cohort, can we just touch on the excellence within our cohorts? Can we just touch on that? Because you said it, Sope. We study. Everyone's coming with their PhDs and the doctors and this and their experience and 30 years here and 20 years here, or maybe not so long in terms of years of experience, but people coming up, some of our members, right, coming through strong with bold ideas, just hitting it. And so the way we curate a group is that you're going to get these different facets. So you're actually leaning in and there's wisdom coming back at you. And I can say this again as one of the facilitators. I'm with David, I'm taking my notes. How was that for you, Sope? Was that something you were looking for? Was it what you were expecting?
I think I didn't know how next level it was going to be. The wealth and the diversity of the experience in the room was really, really good. These are people who are, like I said, super experienced, super smart, who are making things happen, who are also balancing either being a mom, a dad, marriage, relationships, all those kind of different things at the same time as running a business. And being able to lean into that was, for me, it was a really, really, it was cherry on the cake. It wasn't something that I knew was going to happen because I didn't know who was going to be there. So, and even that in itself, which is, like I said, credit to all three of you for creating a cohort like that and people coming together like that. But there are also people that I think I would never have got to know or to learn about if not for a space like this. So actually having that was really, really good, because it actually challenged you. Like there's so many great people doing great things out there, and you do not see them. So this kind of brought people together like that. So that I really, really appreciated. And the experiences I was able to lean into from other people, from different things they've done. And it's all different ages, all the way, like there's people who are older than me, the people who are younger than me. It didn't even make a difference. There was something to learn consistently from the different facets of work that people were involved with.
Amazing. One of the things that I love about our membership as well is that not only do we cover different types of businesses, so different industries, we also cover different geographies as well. So we've got people joining us from Africa, from the Caribbean, from the rest of Europe, as well as in the UK. And we're really looking to build that out even more. And we encourage international applicants. So if you're watching this and you're not based in the UK, don't think that you are excluded. You're absolutely included. We are a family. As the wonderful Professor Kinde Andrew says, Black is a country. Like we're all one country. Okay, so wherever you are in the world, join. And it's wonderful, isn't it, that we have that diversity of geography as well as different industries, because it means that we're able to not only think about our problems from the perspective of others in other industries, and then perhaps get some new insights and innovative ways of doing things, but it also broadens horizons when it comes to our own businesses and thinking about, actually, maybe this could be regional or international. I could branch out. And I love that through Black Founders Hub, we've also seen that connection. We've seen members going off to different countries to meet other members, and the sorts of business development that brings. So Sope, I wanted to ask, just leaning further into that question, what do you see going forward now that you've joined as a facilitator, as the benefits of having a more international Black Founders Hub? And how do you think founders will benefit from the diversity of members, not just from having that network, but also in terms of building perhaps and developing their own businesses?
I think it actually opens up a lot of opportunities for you. We live in a very connected world from a technology perspective, but it doesn't always feel connected. So having that breadth of people involved in this allows you to learn about opportunities in other areas, in other spaces, in other places that you might not necessarily be cognizant with. I think a good example, actually using our whole cohort, was like one of the members was doing something. It's like, this is out. I know about it. Some of you want to get involved, and some of the members in our cohort to get involved in something like that. And those were different, like complete different fields. And it's exactly the same thing when you have an international cohort. There might be things happening in other parts of the world that you might be able to get involved with that you never known. So that expansion is really, really important. But I will also say that there is a level of, I'm saying confidence is the right word, but the conversation I can have with someone based in, random example, Ghana, and the way they see the world is very different to a conversation I have with someone who's based in the UK. Having to explain racism to someone in Ghana because they don't get it means that there are going to be certain things or certain ways of approaching life that someone growing up in the West will not actually be used to. But you can learn from that. So that's even some of what that international way of operating really, really gives you. People are taking their own upbringings, their own background, and you can lean into that and you can learn from that. And that can elevate you and elevate your mindset, elevate your mentality. So apart from the opportunities alone, there's that element to that as well.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, it's powerful. And we've had a question from Aggie come through. What would you say to someone who is on the fence about joining? There might be people listening right now, they've heard a few good things, but they're not sure. And they're not quite ready, or they're not quite convinced about putting in their name and email address and setting up a call with David, Denise, or I just yet. What would you say to them?
Before you answer, Sope, Do not choose violence or chaos. Thank you.
I was about to channel my inner Will Smith, but anyway, I would say you have nothing to lose. It's just a conversation with either David, Denise, or Rashida, and that conversation can be very transformational. That can change your life. So you sitting there and wondering so many different things and having so many different questions, rather than wonder, just reach out and talk. And that's how you're going to learn more. And that's how that will enable you to make a better informed decision rather than just sitting down and wondering, because that doesn't move you forward. And that's what you want to do. Your role is to move forward day in and day out. So even if after having that conversation, you decide that's not for you, at least it's been based on speaking with people and having your questions answered. So reach out.
I love it. And who are you looking forward to joining, or what are you looking forward to about hosting and facilitating cohort 3? What's your vision?
The vision. The vision would be for everyone in that cohort to achieve the goals they set themselves in the period we're working together. That would be, and bear in mind, I don't know what they're coming with. So there could be some big, lofty, ambitious targets, which is all good. That doesn't necessarily, I like that. So that would be my vision, because then that shows and demonstrates to them progress. And we need to be able to say, like, actually, I've moved forward and I've done X or I've done Y. And one thing along that journey of you trying to achieve or move towards those goals, actually, is there going to be a lot more things that you didn't think that you needed that you're going to learn along that journey. So that's how I see it. It's that unhidden part that I've always found very, very foundational in a business. It's like you don't think you need until you start getting to a space like this where you recognize, oh, I really do need that. So that I'm also looking forward to helping some people uncover on their journey.
Beautiful, beautiful. How are we doing for time? I feel like we've gone over. I'll get better at this. I look at David now as my timekeeper on this chat.
It's all good. We've Sope ain't going anywhere. We're good. We're good. I'm really looking. I'll say I'm really looking forward to honestly seeing how you and Aggie will put your own flavor on the facilitation. And you know, I'd say one of the things I love about leadership is when you have the next level of talent come up and they totally change the game and they go, right, okay, you took us to this next level, we're going to take it up to the next level. So there's no pressure, bro, but I'm looking forward to that. And I would say that, to be fair, I've got no more questions. I just want to say I'm from the conversations that we've started, Sope and I are friends. I'm just putting that out there so people know, right? We've got a very good, I would call, robust and direct relationship where we challenge and uphold each other and really big each other up quite a bit. And to have him as part of that first cohort and trust me enough and trust Denise and Rashida as well to basically help him around his business and where he was going to go for me. I salute you for that. And I'm just, as I said, I'm just excited about that point of discovery and just seeing how, as we would call, distributed leadership, right, where somebody else takes it and places their own flavor on and then really takes it to the next level and builds up that community. So that's me. You're probably laughing, Denise and Rashida, that I'm speechless at this point in time, but I'm good. I'm full, man. I'm full. I'm really full.
Yeah, I hear you. No, it's been a beautiful and rich conversation, as always, with you, sir. Always beautiful and rich. And it's going to be, for me, I'm looking forward to similarly, you know, for cohort 3, the getting to benefit from both you and Aggie. I kind of want to join.
I think, yeah, can we join some of the meetings? Is that allowed?
We'll be in the background. It's like, why has that person not got their picture up?
I'll be there with my notepad. All scratching edges. But no, I think it's going to be. I know for sure. What I know for sure is it is going to be a beautiful and rich experience. This is a taster of what it's like interacting with you and what our conversations like. But as you say, we don't know. We'll see who comes and joins us. We welcome many of you. If you can't try and get into cohort 3. It's a couple of spaces left. So do apply, and then we'll be opening another cohort. A couple of things about the other benefits of being part of Black Founders Hub, because yes, the core foundation that we're asking you to apply for is to join for a particular cohort and be with us month after month, setting your goals and trying to achieve your goals, facilitated. But we also bring in fellows. We also bring in those who, we look to in the community, who've walked the walk, who've made the turnover in their businesses, who've grown businesses, who've run international teams, who've got some particular expertise they want to share, and they willingly come back to provide stories and narratives, and also very intimate sessions for conversation where you get to ask them questions directly. So we have that, and we're launching our masterclasses as of next month. And David will come back in a moment and tease on that, because that's going to be special. And masterclasses will be more of a sort of webinar style. As I say, I'll let David talk about that. But just for you, Sope, like the all-round experience, we focused a lot on those kind of monthly meets, but the all-round experience, the fellows, the get-togethers, the book club, the offshoots, how has it been, and how have you balanced it? Because I know that you belong to some other groups as well. So this is not like you just picked us and that was it. You've balanced everything and grown your business. What's been going on?
I think that's just called life. That's the best way I can put it. It's been good. There have been some times when it's been challenging to be able to balance everything all at the same time. But that's also part of the learning to prioritize the right things and let go of the wrong things. And that's a process. It's very easy to be like, oh, this looks shiny and let me get involved. And then you're like, yeah, but I'm in it, but I'm not really in it. So why am I still there? And I need to learn to now step back and be like, okay, what's serving me? What's helping me grow? What's nurturing me? And it's been that journey for me, trying to hold the different things together. A group like this with the people outside or people I've got to know within the group, that's been good because those conversations have kept flowing and they've been life-giving. Whereas there's some other groups that I've been involved with where that conversation has just been tiring or hasn't been, I just felt like I was there for FOMO reasons. So I've learned to be able to actually withdraw myself and prioritize. But I think one thing I also add is one thing I really liked about BFH was there were times when people were doing too much and you had the freedom to call it out. Well, actually, you know what, you need to take a break. You need to focus on your family and being a parent because that's, you're talking about that and there's something there. Or you sound like you might be close to burnout just based on different things you're currently describing right now, or you're not even looking after yourself, you're prioritizing your business over yourself. So things like that, you're able to have those kind of conversations with someone where you were seen and people felt free to be able to call other elements that are very, very important out in a way that wouldn't necessarily happen. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, it's business, I'm focused on business alone. Actually, you are the one that's bringing that business about. You're the one that's moving that business forward. And if you're not on point, your business is not going to be on point. It might look like it is, but it starts teetering before you know it falls down. So even the conversation around, there were times when in that group where it's like, you need to slow down or you need to prioritize. That was also very, very helpful for me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, because it is all of that. It is the wholeness, the holistic approach. We come with everything. There isn't this compartment of business over here and then life over there, as if that's not living. It's all of our lives, and it's precious to be able to do that and to figure out how to prioritize. It's a constant thing. I don't think anyone's ever got it like forever. It's like you're constantly looking at life as it comes to you and then deciding again. And I think one of the things we really do exercise well in the group is our decision-making muscles. and our ability to kind of get clarity and make decisions and move forward. And you've been a shining example of that. You really have. I think my final question for you is, what goals did you set yourself, and did you feel like you achieved them?
I did. In fact, so I currently have a dog.
You do.
And the reason why I have a dog is at the start of last year, I set myself some goals, and I said, if I achieve all these goals, which when I made that statement, they were very like, oh, I ain't gonna do them. So if I achieve all these goals, I'm gonna get a dog. Thinking that will solve the issue with my kids and my wife. I'm not gonna have to deal with no puppy running around the place. But like I said, I've got a dog because halfway through the year, I looked up and I realized that everything that you said you wanted to do, you've kind of hit them. So I had to come clean and my wife and be like, we had a conversation at the start of the year. This is where we are right now. So as a man of my word, let's look into getting a little animal, which happened last year. So yes, I achieved the goals I set out, and then there were more like revised one that I've implemented and keep on expanding on year. So I am moving towards my North Star. I'm moving towards my long-term vision every single year.
I'm clapping for the dog. What's his name? What's the little animal's name?
Her name is Nala. So
Nala.
that's the one advice I would give. Don't set goals like that based on animals, please. It's not helpful.
I love that. I love that. What that says about when you said that at the time, you're like, that's an impossible goal. So I'm safe promising that we're welcoming a little animal into the house because, hey, what's the likelihood? But you put it out there. You put the intention. You did the work, and you've talked about the challenging conversations and the growth that I can give testament that you were there. You showed up, and really, literally, people, this is what we're talking about: showing up. It's not really that much harder than that. The rest of it comes, but the first number one step, just show up. Show up for yourself. Show up for your business. Show up for your family. Who knows? You could end up with a little Nala as well. I'm making note not to make promises like that. I promise you, it's not happening. I'll come visit Nala.
Come through.
We really appreciate that. Can I just squeeze in something before we end as well?
Yeah.
One of the things that happened as a result of last year, it was we found through our journey, one of the big challenges was around pricing, and that whole thinking around pricing. And it is a journey. I think everybody needs to understand it's a journey. One of the things we realize as an executive, although we will go deep dish when we're doing that within the mastermind, we're also getting a series of masterclasses where we talk about the principles and the thinking behind that. And towards the end of April, I will be holding the first of our masterclasses called The Price is Right. I'll let you figure out what that's about. You can work it out by yourself and your dog. But I'm going to be running one of those towards the end of April. Keep an eye out on all of our media. And for those of you who haven't signed up to the newsletter, we'll definitely push it out in there as well. So we're really excited about that. And it's because of people like Sope and other members who have really kind of like made us think, okay, what's this kind of need? Actually, Sope, you've actually highlighted, I think, which is another masterclass we're going to be doing about cash flow. I think that's going to have to be another one that's in there. But you make the point right. It's honest. Lots of people only see the top line and never really think about the stuff that's coming on after, paying tax, corporation tax, VAT, all that kind of stuff that comes with it as well. So yeah, that one, The Price is Right, will come towards the end of April. And we have a list of other ones that we've got planned for the future as well. So I'd love to be able to kind of like round this up because we're around out of time now by just saying thank you, Sope. Really appreciate you taking the time out and being able to share your experience. And we're looking forward to the next step of the journey.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all three of you immensely. Good people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you all. Take care. Be good.
Good day. See you.